Hello everyone and welcome to Low Rent Rig Scale Modelling and my build of the Airfix 1/48 scale Supermarine Spitfire F Mark 18. Now this was one of the models that arrived in the £100 mystery aircraft kit, which I did a study on in this video. Please do check it out. It's worth looking at if you're interested in getting one of these kits to see what value for money you get. Now before we get going, please do consider subscribing to my channel. It's been a great year, 7,500 subs so far, so thank you very much to all those that have already subscribed. It doesn't cost anything, it really helps me out and helps me to continue making these videos and hopefully making them better each time. Now, as you would expect, and as is normal for these things, the instructions in the 1/48 scale kits are really good, very detailed. It's helpful that they add colour and a couple of schemes within the kit, and I think this is the one I'm going to go for, simply because I like the cleanness of it, and I really want to get my hand in with a bit of the silver paint. But what I did realise the first time I opened this kit is not only are all the sprues in extremely good condition, like it's a new mold, but what I did notice is the propeller is missing. It should be right about there. So I got in touch with the aircraft spares system, and they do require a lot of upfront information, sort of your order and everything, but they did send one through. It took about 14 days to arrive, but I think it's a pretty good service. It didn't cost anything, and although they do ask for a lot of information up front, even the info on the tiny white sticker on the box, they did come through and sent me through the spares, no questions asked. So good job to Airfix there. If you've had any dealings with Airfix spare service, please do share it in the comments below for everybody. Let us know what your experience was like. So first job is to prepare the cockpit and the pilot. As we know, most of these models are built around the cockpit as the central starting piece, and with it being the 1/48 scale, the level of detail is just a little bit higher than on the 172, so that's where I'm going to start. So the first step for the main assembly is a sub-assembly of the cockpit and the pilot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all the pieces that I need and make sure I've trimmed them up nice and get them sanded. Any seams that are on the pilot, I'm going to get those off and make sure that they're ready for a paint. So these parts are all going to get a coating with Vallejo Model Air, the DE green. I just think it's a really nice green for the base colour of the cockpit. And then I'm going to bring the detail out by doing some dry brushing using Vallejo's metallic range, metallic steel, to bring out those details on the cockpit instruments before the decals, and then the pilot's going to go in. I find that dry brushing is a really good way to bring out the detail, especially on these smaller kits. It looks really great if you get it right. I'm going a bit heavy on the internals here because there's a decal to go over the top of the instruments. But I think the effect that you get really just gives it that worn look with the metallic shining through. You can see in the close-up how the dry brushing grabs the surfaces and makes them look a little bit more three-dimensional and a bit worn. and a little bit more realistic. Once all the components for the cockpit are painted up and all the little accessories are added in, including painting the seat with a bit of a leather colour, I'm going to assemble it all up. Now it's really important to make sure that fits correct as everything else goes around it, and then paint up the figure. There he is as he turned out. I'm quite pleased with it, really. Main body assembly was an absolute pleasure, as I've come to expect from these kits now. The quality is absolutely outstanding, so I didn't have any problems at all putting this together. The fit just slotted together. It just had that nice border between just about fit and not too tight, so there weren't any massive gaps. So any sanding you see is really just me taking off any excess glue that I've messed about with. Another detail nobody will see will be these cooling radiators, which I'm going to paint in metallic brass and then give a wash over of gunmetal grey. They'll sit deep inside the intakes and nobody will ever see them, but I'll know they're there. These intakes were the only part where the fit could have been a little better. There's a little bit too much of a gap. I had to apply quite a bit of pressure to get them to spread out a little bit while the extra thin took hold. So that was the only part on the entire model where the fit wasn't really up to standard. Once the external accessories are on, the guns and so forth, I'm going to go over with a sanding stick and just take off any excess glue before I start with the finish. And as I mentioned, I'm going to go for the metallic silver finish. I think the Indian Air Force version, just because it's so striking, and the Vallejo metallic paints that I've got hold of, they just go on so well, and the finish is so good. And then it'll get a coat of gloss. For that, I'm going to be using the Tamiya X22 acrylic gloss to give it a really nice finish. So you'll see how this coat goes on now. It's almost straight from the bottle. I've added 1 drop of water with a pipette and 1 drop of Vallejo airbrush flow improver to about 15 drops of paint in the cup. And as you can see, instantly that shine is already showing through, and the cover is just fantastic. Propeller, nose cone and wingtips are going to be done with metallic gunmetal. Really good contrast to the silver body, and they really do go well together, the silver, or the steel as this is, the steel and the silver being extremely close colours, but the gunmetal contrast with the silver looks absolutely incredible. Apply the decals to the 5 blades of the propeller now before it gets fixed. Now these propellers are supposed to spin, but I always fix mine because they're going on the wall of the studio, sort of in an upright position, and I want the propeller to be in exactly the right position, so I always glue mine fixed. if any of you are wondering why I'm whacking loads of extra thin around the prop shaft, that's why, because I like it to be in a certain orientation. Canopy's windows are getting painted by hand because I believe that the more times I do it, the better I'll get at it. And once you've done a few, you really do start to get your eye in. Even with a little bit of a shaky hand, you can learn about how to lay that paint down and use the liquid to your advantage. So a little bit of a touch up now before we start with the decaling and applying the windows and canopy. Just be careful with those side windows. They will actually pop inside the body if you're not careful. Decals went on beautifully. The gloss finish really helped. I found that when they dried, they really did stick down to the surface and went into all the panel lines. So the gloss coat really did help with that. So there she is finished. Let's have a close-up look at the finished article. I think the finish has come out absolutely fantastic. It's a beautiful looking plane, a pleasure to build and a wonderful model. The fit was absolutely brilliant except for the underside intakes, and I think using the Vallejo metallics, which sometimes get some bad press from some people, I had no problem with them at all, and I think the finish we've got there is absolutely fantastic. So thank you so much for joining me for yet another build. It's been an absolute pleasure, this one. Please do check out my Facebook group, Scale Modelling for Everyone. We've got about 800 members so far. We've been going about 5 months. We'd love to see you over there and love to see your work. Please do consider subscribing to my small channel. Keep me enthusiastic. It really does make me happy when we get some more subscribers. And please do leave any comments below. Any tips, any improvements, how I can make these videos better would really be appreciated. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one.